he did some things with the he did some things with that in a way that I was like, what is this? Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I'm Anastasia the Black Bookworm, and today we are talking trauma. So just trigger warnings in advance. We're talking about a lot of topics that could be very triggering. So if this is not the video for you, I completely understand. We're talking about sexual assault, rape, trafficking, stalking. Yeah, we're talking about a lot of stuff, a lot of heavy stuff. So if that's not for you, that's perfectly fine. I 100% understand. Feel free to watch something else. We got a lot of happy stuff on this channel. But yeah, I just wanted to talk to you guys about something that I just read, and I feel like I should, I don't know if vent is the right word, but I feel like I just got to get it out. Like, I can't believe I read this, and I just kind of got to talk through my feelings of it because it was crazy. But we were talking about the cat and mouse duet, Haunting Adeline and Hunting Adeline by H.D. Carlson. I believe. I think. Yeah, I first of all, thank you so much for being here. You could be literally anywhere in the world. You chose to be here, and I sincerely appreciate it. But let's go ahead and get into that series. So the titular character, Adeline, is an author who inherited a house from her grandmother that is haunted, and you follow her journey where in the first book she sees that she has a stalker. And then in the second book, she ends up being kidnapped and is a part of like this human trafficking thing. I think I gave both books 4 stars. I think I was being generous though. I think had I waited a little bit longer, I probably would have given them 3 stars each. But I wanted to talk about like how one, how the books made me feel, but 2, how there's so much in the books. To a point where like, when does an author do too much? And I want to preface this by saying like, please note that all of this is coming from a place of like respect and admiration, because I've never written a book, and I am like it. I don't know the amount of work it takes to write a book. I just respect the process and what it does for readers. So I don't want this to be one of those things where like it comes off as judgy, because that is not my intent. But I really need to talk about the series. So like I said, the first book, you realize that Adeline has a stalker, but she also finds her great grandmother's journals in the house, and like she's trying to figure out like what happened to her, because she was killed and it was like it did not get solved. And so you get that aspect of like, you see these letters, like these diary entries at the end of all of Adeline's channels chapters. It's a dual POV book. And so you see her like, her with her best friend figure out, best friend's name is Dea. They figure out like what happened to the grandmother, how she fell in love with her stalker, and how she actually ended up being like killed by her husband's best friend, because her husband's best friend was in love with her, which we can see that coming from a mile away. But the husband's best friend is related to a senator. He's the father of a senator who like is heavily involved with the trafficking. But then you also like, so much happened in this book. You learn that like the people that are taking these children and women, taking boys, girls, and women, they're like sacrificing these kids and like killing them and drinking their blood. It's wild. And also like assaulting and they're doing a lot of things. They're harming a lot of these children. And so, uh, the second book, you realize that, well, the senator had like tried to take Adeline and her friend in the first book. And the second book, you realize that Adeline ends up getting taken regardless, and she gets put. She's in her situation for like 2.5 months. Um, whole time Zade's trying to find her. Zade is her stalker. I don't know if I said that. Whole time Zade is trying to find her, and finally gets her. He's like trying to kill everybody that has everything to do with it. Spoiler alert: he ends up killing mostly everybody except for one person, um, who Adeline didn't want him to kill. So he respected her and did not. What my issue with these books was not, surprisingly, was not like the content of like the triggering behavior and actions. Like that is just dark romance, which is not my thing normally. But you know, no judges to those who like it. Um, my issue was like too much happening in the book. Like, y'all, they talked about this haunted house so much in the first book that they built it like almost as another character. But I was like, what does this house being haunted have to do with anything? In the second book, they bring it up too. Literally nothing. The house being haunted does not move the story at all. Like, the plot is what it is. With like the stalker and like the trafficking, it's heavy. It's enough. You don't need the aspect of a haunted house to like add on to it. I guess they use it as like a way to defend the fact that Adeline like gets her jollies off by being scared. Um, but I really don't think it was necessary. I think we still could have like it wasn't like she was like in the house like mad horny because like, oh my god, I see a ghost. Like, no. Like, sis was scared in there, but she was like, I'm not going nowhere. So I didn't understand that. I to this day I don't know why the house was haunted. It just bothers me. Um, Also, I think we put too much emphasis on her great grandmother's diary entries and like her being unalived and trying to figure out that mystery. I see how it like is kind of like, I don't even want to say how it ties the story together because honestly I don't think it was that relevant of a detail. I think it was just fluff and made the book longer. Because it just wasn't, it didn't really add anything to the story. It wasn't bad. Maybe if that was a separate book in and of itself, like a prequel, it probably would have been better. She probably could have detailed it out a little bit more. Well, I don't know the author's pronouns. I believe that they're she, her, but I could be wrong. Um, it just, that's just another thing that felt so unnecessary to me, and I was just not really here for that. Um, then what else happened that I was just like, why is this in the book? Um, no, that was it. I think that was pretty much like, I don't really care about this stuff. But something that, and I think that it's gonna be more than a duet. Like, old girl's getting a book. I forget her name. Sibby. We meet her in the first book because she's a part of the haunted house, but she's really not a part of the haunted house. Like, sis has been, she was in a cult. She killed her dad and she went on this killing spree and she like kills demons. She calls them demons. It's just bad people, and she just gets a sense of like people that are not good and she'd be killing them. But sis also had to create like different personalities in her head. So she's a little bit off. Sorry y'all. That's my baby's monitor. I'm pretty sure she just unplugged the monitor. I feel like we could have gotten more out of her, but we're gonna get a book about her, so that's just gonna be that. Um, all this to say, this was my first like super dark romance that I've ever read, And if you follow me on Instagram, at Black Bookworm, a V over the A, so BLVCK Bookworm. If you follow me there and you saw like my stories of me, Jasmine, and Fallon, we read this together. One, Zeta's daddy, we love him, but also it was kind of like he very much was like, I don't know. That was a character. I've never had a character that like has had so much. I don't know what the word is. I guess nuance would be the word, because he was like, he did some things with the he did some things with that in a way that I was like, what is this? Like sexually to Adeline, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. And Sis was very much like, no, I don't like it, but then also like really liked it. But like I said, I think they're trying to use the fact that she's like into like haunted houses and dark things to be like, oh, she likes this. She's really like about. Sorry, I'm looking at the monitor. Like she's really about like I don't know. It was like consensual, non-consensual play. That's her thing. Sorry, y'all. I'm just listening to my daughter just run around in her room and fall and stuff. She feels me napping. She took like a very short nap. I don't know. We're going through something with naps currently, so bear with me. But something that I don't even remember where I was. It don't matter. Something that I was just like, I don't understand why we needed that. Is like the knife play and blood play that was in the series. Like within that second book, like they are using like knives and bleeding and all that stuff during, which this, very well may be a kink. So, well, I'm pretty sure it is a kink. I just feel like it wasn't incorporated well, or maybe it was just too much for me personally. I understood the point of it, of like taking your power back, because the person that was going to buy her when Adeline was being trafficked would like cut her. It was like, oh my god, you look so beautiful covered in red. Oh my gosh, I love like seeing you bleed for me and all this other kind of junk. And so Daddy Zayd takes the knife and like cuts over the scars that she had from old dude, I forget his name. And cool. But then they just kept doing stuff with the knife. And she was just like, oh, I like, she's like in her mind, like, oh my gosh, like I love seeing like, blood run like all down his hands, and like he be liking to see her like bloodied up too. And I was like, I don't know. It just didn't seem, I don't know. What else happened? That just had me like, yo, what is this book? The ending, spoiler alert. Mark the senator, the one that like was like doing like all this trafficking and stuff that we killed in the first book, at the end of the first book, he was abusing his wife. His wife was the one that was running the whole thing. So this is like, has the government in her pocket, has like, and not just the American government, like it was just the American government. I think it was just like, I don't know if it was international, but sis has like power. Like she's controlling all of this stuff. And I wish they would have given her character a little bit more depth, because it didn't make sense. It just seemed like, oh, she's a woman scorned, and so she just, does what's been done to her to other women. And it just did not make sense. Maybe if we would have got more of her backstory, it would have made more sense, but we didn't get it. And then, y'all, she was unalived in like 5 minutes of reading. And I wish that we would have spent more time on that, because she caused so much havoc. We went through so much crap because of her. And I feel like she didn't get the ending that she deserved. I feel like she like, it was just wrapped up too quickly. And that's my issue with a lot of books. I feel like they get wrapped up too quickly. It's easy for authors to pay attention to details that they think are important, but in actuality, like, serve no purpose to the story. And the ending that the reader is earned, has worked for, does not actually happen. And that's what happened with the series. But I just needed to get that off my chest, because what an emotional ride. And I don't know if like the payoff was worth it. But yeah, I mean, like, if you read this book and you like, well, this series, The Duet, and you liked it, like, tell me why. Tell me if I'm missing anything. A lot of people were like told us when we were reading it, they're like, yeah, the second book is like a lot more than the first one. And the first one was, we were very much like, oh, we're not going to finish this. This is definitely about to be a DNF for all three of us. But something happened where we ended up finishing it. We were like, oh, okay, let's just keep going. Let's read the second one. But everybody warned us. They're like, the second one is a whole lot heavier than the first one. You get an RAPE scene in vivid graphic detail, which is what happened. And so okay, I think my husband went into, sorry y'all. And so we had proper warning going into the book, but I just don't think that series was something that I told people, don't ask me if I recommend this book. I will never recommend this book. This book is very heavy, it's filled with trauma, and it is very disturbing and overwhelming. So if you like dark romances, then you're probably used to that kind of thing. If you're trying to get into dark romances, there you go. Now you know what it's about. But yeah, it was just one of those books that left me kind of like lost, but also almost in a slump because of like what I went through when I was reading it. I was like, this is a lot. A lot was happening, and I just didn't know what to do with it. Yeah, that was that. I just need to talk. I just need to say like words. But yeah. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I think I already asked the question of like, yeah, if you like this book. If you read it and you didn't like it, let's chat, because we're here. Well, I'm somewhere in the middle. Actually, no, I'm not. I think we're here. I think I can say, like, now that I'm away from it, I didn't really care for the books, but Zayd is still daddy, so it is what it is. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. I will catch y'all when I catch y'all. Bye.